The objective of the assembly table job is to build rolling ladder carts. The equipment used includes an assembly table, a workbench, a computer, a monitor, racks and bins with ladder components, a cart, and a hoist. The tools used include a welding gun, a hammer, a scraper, a level, welkers, which are welding pliers used for trimming wire and cleaning nozzles, a tape measure, a scanner, and clamps. The materials used include wood boards, a ladder, an angle brace, crossbars, wheels, a handrail panel, and a safe lock. The work environment is an inside work environment with heat and no air conditioning. The personal protective equipment includes floor mats, safety glasses, steel-toed shoes, a welding jacket, a welding helmet, welding gloves, a welding beanie, and a respirator which is not required. The workers observed were 5 feet 10 inches and 5 feet 3 inches tall. The work methods for the assembly table job begin by pushing the cart with the ladder tread step sub-assembly to the assembly table. Next, workers lift tread step components. Then they position the ladder tread step sub-assembly on the assembly table. Workers next use the hoist to position the ladder tread step sub-assembly. Next, they use a tape measure to determine the height of the tread step sub-assembly. Next, they get 2 ladder side components. Workers will then carry 2 ladder handrail panels to the assembly table. Then they get and don a respirator and welding helmet. Workers then get the welding gun. Next, they step onto the assembly table. Then they weld the handrail panel and the ladder tread step sub-assembly together. Workers will clamp the components together as needed. Workers then step off of the assembly table. Next, they continue to weld the side step and tread step sub-assembly together. Workers next will get the end pieces. They then use a hammer to position end pieces. Next, they weld end pieces to the frame. Workers will then get the wheel housing. They then position and weld the wheel housing to the bottom of the ladder. Next, workers get the crossbars. They position and weld the crossbars while standing on the floor and while standing on the assembly table. They then get the wheel. Workers position and secure the wheel in the housing. Next, workers get the safe lock. Then they clamp the safe lock underneath the tread. Workers then weld the safe lock to the ladder. Then they remove the clamp. Workers next pull the ladder down from the assembly table to floor level. Next, they weld the upper bar supports. Workers then get and secure the wheels underneath the tread. Then they push the ladder to the computer area. Workers inspect the ladder in this area. Then they scan the tag. Finally, workers enter data into the computer. 2 notes on ladder building. First, there is a 10-inch rise on every step, and second, there are 3 to 7 steps for the various ladders. There were several ergonomic risk factors observed for the assembly table position. Repeated and sustained exertions were rated as a medium-high pace. Hands were in steady motion or exertion to pack, build, and weld the rolling ladder cart. Sustained exertions were observed and included continuous standing and continuous neck flexion or forward bending. Forceful exertions were required to get, lift, carry, push, and position the ladder cart and component pieces. They were also needed to weld components to the ladder cart. Finally, forceful exertions were needed to use the hammer, the clamps, and the scraper. Awkward postures were observed and include torso and neck flexion, torso twisting, elevated arms, forearm pronation, and wrist flexion to weld components to the ladder cart. Torso, thigh, and lower leg flexion to weld components to the ladder cart. And forearm pronation to use the hand tools. The mechanical or localized contact stress observed was contact stress between the forearms, hands, and fingers and the edges of the tools and the ladder cart components. It is important to note that gloves are worn. Additional contact stress between the legs and knees and the edges of the ladder cart was observed. The recommendations for building rolling ladder carts on the assembly table include: investigate a height-adjustable table that workers can quickly adjust to reduce awkward postures. Investigate adjustable height and tilt fixtures for the ladders in the current vertical position to reduce awkward postures. Consider using thigh and knee pads to decrease contact stress. Investigate adjustable height and tilt fixtures for assembling the ladder in a horizontal position to decrease awkward postures.